Sorry. All right, we'll move on to item 1, applications for leave of absence. Could I have somebody move that, please?
I'll move that.
Moved by Councillor Durkin, seconded by Councillor Oldham. I have 2, one from Councillor Davison and one from Councillor Walker. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 2, declaration of interest. Could I have somebody move that, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Trevors. Any declarations? Councillor Batten.
16, the application for moral commencement.
Thank you. Any further? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 3 is declaration for political donation. I have a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Newsom, seconded by Councillor Trevors. Anything to declare? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. The mayoral minute. I've tabled a report. Does anybody else have anything for the mayoral minute? Councillor Mullins.
Yes, if I could just take a minute, Mr. Chairman, to talk about Main Street Molong in the last week, which has only started on Monday. It's been quite amazing to see the resilience of a lot of businesses, but as you know, the top pub and the bottom pub are closed. The top pub is a gathering place for our tradies and our punters and those that like good pub food. But they're doing takeaways and carrying on as normal without anybody around the bar. The bottom pub, much the same. They've closed pretty well completely. So the cockies who come in for dinner almost every night and the ruggers are not there. Not that they're playing much anyway. They're also doing takeaways throughout the window till 9 o'clock, so that's good. The Bolo and the RSL are closed. So adding all that up, it's a sad time for the social part of the town. The cafes, Jody at the cafe down there is very tearful because her staff are long-standing and they're like family to them. They're doing takeaways only and are going to do the best they can. Sweetness down the bottom, Michael is going to, he's doing home deliveries for free for takeaway meals, starting tomorrow, I think. And the bakery, as ever, carries on. The supermarket is pretty well stocked, although I thought I was the only person that ate instant mashed potato. Well, I'm not. But everything else is there. And, of course, it's a social event on Tuesday mornings because that's toilet paper day down at the supermarket. So everyone's down there for that. And the hardware is serving. If you want to buy a bolt, we can go to the back door and they'll go and get you the bolt or your nutter that you need. So they're still open. So we've lost a few businesses down there. The woolshed has moved on to other pastures, I suppose. And Lizzie's little Boothville shop is closing. So the Paris end of Bank Street's looking a bit sad, but no doubt it'll come back. And all the others, it's, pretty well businesses as usual as it can get. So it's a bit sad downtown, and it's sad for our social interaction, but there it is. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Look, obviously, on comment to that, it's the way we have to live at the present moment, and I'm sure that each of our villages is exactly the same. But anyway, we have to get through this, get past the virus, and then rebuild after that. Councillor Trevors is next.
Yes, just to let you know, I've had 2 council meetings where I'm a delegate that have been cancelled. One was the Combined Orange and Combined Road Safety Committee, which is held in Orange. It's been cancelled due to the coronavirus. Also to the traffic, our traffic committee meeting has been cancelled. So I don't know what's going to happen there in the future. The GM may be able to fill us in with that. Just to let you know that prior to all the coronavirus, if you remember last year, there was a bit of kerfuffle with the organisation of the Dubbo to Canberra Zoo ride. That again happened this year, and it was cancelled on the fact that they didn't get their paperwork in early. And the police didn't give them authority to carry out the event. So, but that was just before. So they've been told that in future they need to get the paperwork in 3 months before, not a week before. So that just sort of fills you in a little bit of what's been happening.
Councillor Weaver.
I have written a report on the Cabonne Acquisitive Art Prize, which was went really well and was very successful. The winning work is here for people to see, and the brochure is on everybody's table. We had more than 200 people through, and about over 130 people voted in the People's Choice. So it was really great. It was just unfortunate that with the timing that we had to cancel the presentation event, but we still had the presentation and of the winners and highly commended. And Andrew G presented the senior school, and Phil Donato attended and presented the junior school. So, and Michael Carroll's work was the winning work. It hasn't been announced yet, but I've finished the count on the People's Choice vote today, and that is Claire Ryan's The Next Generation, which is another very worthy paint. But it was the number of works and the quality of the works was really exceptional. And a lot of the artists have said that they will, in fact, be entering again next year. So, despite the not getting the party at the end, it was very successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Weaver.
Well, I've got a happy occasion. A group of councillors went up to Cumnock for Rhonda Watt's presentation of the Minister's Award. It was a lovely morning, and I think she was so thrilled, and the people of Cumnock were so thrilled too, and I thought it was just lovely. So that's all I've got. And yes, all our towns are the same. Yeah.
Mr Mayor, I'll just take the document. Thank you.
Councillor Batten.
Yeah, last night I sent everyone an email, which was my document for the mayoral minute. I just want to highlight something, Mr Mayor, with your indulgence. I said there were about 197 fires in the Canobola Zone, all kept under 10 hectares. Put that in perspective, that there were something like 11,200, just under 11,200 fires in New South Wales, which burnt an area of 5.46 million hectares. So what I'm saying is, it just demonstrates the effectiveness of the strategy that Canobola Zone with the Cowra, Orange, Blaine, Cabonne Council and our volunteers in this area. I mean, it wasn't simply through luck. It was actually good management and that strategy of rapid response. So I think, you know, to all of the people involved, the volunteers, our council staff, they're to be commended and congratulated for that.
Absolutely.
It kept people safe under some very, very difficult circumstances.
And difficult weather.
Very difficult weather. I mean, we had, like in those periods where the heat waves were, we had lightning strikes. And I'll give you probably the worst example we had of rigs was at Mullion Creek. There's a property out there which is just totally mismanaged in terms of maintenance of the fire trails and the way the property, which is just simply forest regrowth. When those lightning strikes were there, Canobola Zone put a helicopter up, and the helicopter spotted that fire. And so they made the decision, right, drop all the others, we can handle those, you just get on top of that fire, knowing full well that that was just a absolute disaster waiting to happen. The zone had to send in a bulldozer to actually get access to that fire. And what they had to do was actually send in the smallest trucks we had, because couldn't get anywhere near them with the larger Cat 7s, Cat 1s. They had to park those in the paddock next door and access it with literally the smallest trucks that we actually had available to us. And if we didn't have that decision about that helicopter, that would have been a disaster. Mullion Creek potentially wouldn't be here today. So it's definitely congratulating. Thank you.
Thank you. I totally agree with you, Councillor Batten, in that regard. We are fortunate. We have a very, very committed rural fire service in our area. The Deputy Mayor and myself are actually country mayors, and we received a presentation, or the whole of the room did, from Bob Rogers in regards to the recent fires. And They had some people there who were doing the review into the fires, and we were a bit, not embarrassed, but quite proud that they were coming asking us our experience of the bushfires, and we really had nothing. So, which was great.
It was bad and responsibility. But the National Parks is actually much more, I'm not criticised, but the zone actually asked them to actually do some hazard reduction in view they recognise the main problem. And they actually jumped on board and did that back in early part of the year after, when I say early part of 2019, in about July, when it was safe to do it. And that assisted in keeping it safe. In fact, they did that sort of stuff. There are other areas, I mean, people with firearms, and again, it was potentially dangerous because the fuel level did decline, but they kept it to a very small area. Through surveys like that, yeah.
All right, thank you. Anything further? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 5 is Committee of the Whole. Could I have somebody move that, please? Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Anything for Committee of the Whole?
Item 15, Mr Mayor, the Community Assistance Program.
Righto, item 15. Anything further? No? All good, all right. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 6 is grouping of reports. Could I have a mover, please?
I'll move that, Mr Mayor.
Moved by Councillor Durkin, seconded by Councillor Oldham. So we're grouping 7 to 9. Any questions there? All right with that? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Moving on now to item number 10. The Pandemic Response Policy. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Durkin, seconded by Councillor Nash. There's hands, but I saw a light. Any discussion on that at all? Councillor Durkin.
Just quickly, Mr Mayor, I'd like to commend the General Manager. I contacted him by email just to express my thoughts. We're doing something about this, and Brad replied with the Minister to say, yep, already all over it and preparing something now. So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 11 is the Local Government New South Wales Water Management Conference. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Nash. Clearly this would be subject to our current situation with the coronavirus, but we'll just nominate if anybody's interested. Is any council's interested in this at all? Yep. All right. So Councillor Nash has shown an interest. Yep. You'd like to go? Councillor Mullins and Councillor Weaver. Yeah. All right. All right then. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 12 is IPNR, Operational First Half Yearly Report. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Durkin.
Thank you.
Any discussion at all? All happy? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 13 is request for donations. And I'd just like to amend that recommendation before we do it. So we've got a mover. It was Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Batten, was it?
Seconded.
No, Councillor Mullins. just at the end of that recommendation that council donate 300 to the CWA for annual sponsorship of the school public speaking competition, subject to the event proceeding. Is everybody happy with that? Yeah. All right, any discussion on that at all then? No? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 14 is the Senior Festival for 2020. Could I have a mover, please?
Move that.
Councillor Newsom, mover, seconded by Councillor Nash. Yep. This is retrospective anyway, so I don't suspect of any discussion. Or be stamp duty or something, I don't know. No, I don't know. No idea. It's even probably our finance. Any other sensible questions? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour?
All right.
Against? That is carried. Item 15 is in committee of the whole. Item 16 is the Events Assistance Program, and Councillor Batten's declared an interest in this. Yeah, so we're doing item 16. Yeah. All right. Could I just have a mover first, please? Mover is Councillor Jones. Yep. Seconded by Councillor Durkin. How come he's out? How come Councillor Mullins is out? We'll just wait for him to come back.
Mr Mayor, while we're in limbo, just a question. Do we need to also add that footnote of the event going ahead?
Oh, I've got an amendment for that.
Sorry, I'll withdraw that silly statement.
All right. Yeah, the recommendation will read that council not allocate funding under the 2019-2020 Events System Program to the following events, being 1, the MAG, and 2, the Molong Bowling Club. Now, the Molong Bowling Club one is on the 28th, which is next weekend, is it? Yeah. And that bowling club's been shut down. That's been canned anyway. And MAG, they can reapply for this funding at a later date, even in the new financial year, because their June meeting, well, the government's enforcing things up until that event anyway, so it's out anyway. So they can reapply in the new financial year, and that's been explained to them. So is everybody right with that wording, not allocate? Mm-hmm. Council not allocate the funding? All right. Any discussion needed on that at all? All right. I'll put that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That's carried. Councillor Batten, the recommendation was reworded that council not allocate funding to the events, and that was voted on and unanimously that way, and that those two events can reapply at a later date. Moving on to item 17 is the Gower Footpath Capital Delivery 2019-20. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Durkin.
Thank you.
Seconded by Councillor Jones. Any discussion on that at all?
I'll just
Councillor Jones?
speak briefly, Mr Mayor, to give council some background and some context to this story. So council, as part of its operational budget, had approved 300,000 towards a footpath in Pye Street. However, given the PAM and the other community consultation around footpaths that was occurring, works hadn't started there, but there's been some extensive consultation taking place. Following a meeting out there a couple of weeks ago, where attendance was good, the majority of residents felt that it was best at this stage to reallocate that funding towards Oberon Street, given the fact that Pye Street is likely to get a grant from the state government. We felt it was much better governance to put our funding to a lower priority, and I would end council to then continue to lobby the state government for funding to do Pye Street. So I thank the director for the work he's done on that.
Any further discussion? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. 18 is the Gower Community Hall request to lease the building. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Any discussion on that at all? No? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 19 is the Molong Floodplain Risk Management Committee terms of reference. Could I have a mover, please?
Also move.
Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Nash. Just to comment on that, that's just going out for public exhibition at the moment, so that's all we're required to do there for that. All right, any discussion? No. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 20 is the draft Sub-Regional Rural and Lands Industrial Land Strategy 2019 to 2036. Could I have a mover, please?
Moved by
Councillor Batten, seconded by Councillor Durkin. And I should just add just a slight amendment to the wording on the recommendation, that in point 1, you've got dated 30th of January 2020. It'll be comma for public exhibition. That's from our director. So are you both happy with that? Yep. Any discussion at all on that? Well, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 21, request for donation development application fees paid 2020/49. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Newsom. Any discussion on that at all? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 22 is a request for a donation equivalent to development application fee by Cumnock Show Society. A mover, please. Moved by Councillor Newsom, seconded by Councillor Nash. Any discussion at all on that? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 23 is request for donations DA 2019-101, fees Bora Nor Nashdale Men's Shed. Mover, please. Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Durkin. Any discussion there? No. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 24 is a modification, development application 2017-0117, remote control car track, lot 3 DP 866377, Mullen Road, Clergate. Have a mover, please.
I'll move it.
Moved by Councillor Durkin, seconded by Councillor Mullins. Any discussion at all on that? All right, I'll put that on there to show of hands. It's a division. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. 10-0. Item 25 is the draft Cabonne Local Strategic Planning Statement. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Newsom, seconded by Councillor Jones. Any discussion on that at all? Oh, I'll put that then. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 26 is a modification of development application 2007-0005, 2 lot subdivision, lots 94-102, lot 42 DP 780389 Over Road, Lower Lewis Ponds. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Any discussion on that at all? No? All right, I'll put that. I need a show of hands. The division, please. All those in favour? Unanimous? Against? Nil. 10-0. Item 27 is questions for next meeting. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Durkin. Do you have any questions for next meeting? Councillor Weaver.
Yes, I have. In Canberra, we've got some buses that take people, you know, around the area. There's golden oldies, and I can't remember what the others are called, but there's seniors. And they take them all around different areas on a tour. This happens female and male once a month. The bus is also used by ACT and a couple of other organisations in the town. The buses are old and they're nearly up to their use-by date. One of the buses is in better condition than the other, but the rugby unions always, you know, also use it through their period of schooling. They maintain them at the moment, but they're getting harder to maintain because they just keep breaking down so often. And I just wondered if there a way that we can help get a bus, a community bus for Canberra.
Good question. Very good question. I would like to talk to you later about that because there has been in the past a situation where Molong has done that and now they don't have access to the bus. So I'll discuss that with you a bit later. Yeah, the general manager said, like from a council perspective, it's a big thing to get into owning and operating a bus for the community. But I know exactly where you're coming from because it was needed in Molong a while back, and there was money raised and put towards the bus, and now the community doesn't have access to it. Well, yeah, I'll discuss that with you. Yeah, if you like.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, for council to consider taking on a function which we would be required to do, the operations maintenance, that would be something we'd have to work out what the costs, ongoing costs are to our operating budget. The capital cost of the bus is not so much the concern, and then we'd have to obviously go to the community, because then if we get in the business of being an alternate transport provider for one community, are we starting to open up that for every community? And the costs are quite significant. It's not our core functions to provide bus services. So, there'd have to be a bit of strategic thinking about it, and also weighing up the challenges and the benefits to that, to go outside our normal operating functions of council.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it would be really sad to lose that service. I mean, there's 25 plus females once a month and 25 plus males once a month go all around their area and support from the area, and, you know, Orange and Artful areas, and they do that every month. And then there's also the back office, which is part of us, use it to transport people. So, okay, I look forward to this talk.
Anyone else? Oh, Councillor Newsom. Yeah.
Yes, I do. I've got a couple of things actually. Since we've had all the storms over summer, there's a lot of trees down on the side of the road, and we have been asked, and I've seen things on Facebook about the fact that people can't actually go and take the wood or cut the trees up for firewood. Does council have a plan that they will manage the removal of those trees from the side of the road? Or can permits be issued to people who apply? That's my first question.
Matt, are you online there? Did you hear that question?
He's frozen. Okay.
Thank you.
Right. The second and third questions joined together. Has Cabonne Council put anything in place in terms of planning for the local government elections, in terms of having a candidate information night? And my other part of that was, would council look to discuss again, and I know it's been discussed in the past, about starting our meetings later, which means that we might be able to attract a younger group of people to put their hand up to stand for council.
Through Mr. Mayor, we did, obviously we were planning to have the usual introduction to council, and for potential people wanting to run for council. That was, we were programming that, and we're still looking at it, but there is obviously some movements with the state government as we speak that may see that being delayed, but we still go planning. It's about how close to the actual election you do that, and I'm following basically the past custom and practice here at Cabonne of that timing of the month of that to happen. With regard to your other question about evening meetings, that's basically a matter for council to consider when they do their code of meeting practice, and there's always fors and against on moving council time, so that's pretty much a matter for council to determine, and that could be done at a meeting if the mayor and council were wanting to basically make a decision for the future council to attract an evening meeting. That's basically something we could put up, but obviously all the councillors would have to agree that they want to move to, or not all, but as in it would have to be voted on to say that we're moving to night meetings. And there's operational impacts on that, but obviously council, we swing around and adhere to what council's wishes are, so we have to go to night meetings. It can happen. Obviously other councils do it. So if it was a view of council wanted that to come up before the next election, we could look at that question coming up, maybe discuss it at a workshop in the future prior to doing that, but that's something we could do.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions for next meeting? Nope. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 28 is the business paper items for noting. Could I have a mover, please?
Move it.
Moved by Councillor Durkin, second by Councillor Jones. Anything there for noting from anybody? Discussion on? No? All good? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 29 is matters of urgency. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Trevor, second by Councillor Nash. Is there anything of an urgent nature? No? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 30 is Committee of the Whole. Could I have somebody move that, please? Moved by Councillor Trevor, seconded by Councillor Durkin.
Thank you.
And we have one item in the Committee of the Whole, which is item 15. So I just got to, before I get a mover for item 15, I'll just, there's an amendment to the recommendation. So is everybody on item 15? So the recommendation reads this way: approve community assistance program funding for applications 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, and we're adding 16. So that means we're dropping 1, 2 and 8 and adding 16 to the numbers there. So is everybody with me with that? 1, 2 and 8 out. No, dropping them out. The reason being is because the funding there indicates that it's going to school excursions, and there is no school excursions anymore. All right, so that's why we've just made a decision just to drop them out. They apply later on down the track if that changes, the excursion business changes with the, yeah, so they can apply on that 21 there. All right, can I have a mover for that, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by, over seconder? Councillor Mullins. All right, discussion on that. Councillor Batten.
If someone wants to speak in favour of it, I'm actually speaking against that motion.
All right, anybody want to speak? Councillor Weaver, you want to speak in favour of that? You're the mover.
Oh, I just like to say that I think fair distribution is very good. That road must be the Shire.
I've lost some train of thought. I think it's quite fair, sorry.
All right. A speaker against, Councillor Batten.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I'm speaking against the motion on the basis of withdrawal of items 1 and 2. The purpose for item 1's inclusion is that the Rotary Club of Molong is in fact been offered the opportunity to leverage that $5,000 they've asked for with another $5,000 from a source of funds provided through Rotary from Dick Smith Foundation. Now, I would be proposing we reinstate item 1 on the basis that they actually are in a position to do that negotiation now in readiness for when excursions are reinstated, rather than making them reapply would this indicate in the next financial year. That actually stops them from being able to use that money to leverage what they want to do, access that money from the Dick Smith Foundation. The second thing is similarly the Cumnock P&C one I think should be reinstated on the basis that they're actually planning for the future. Not all excursions happen, as you know, straight away. It takes a fair bit of planning to actually get them up and running. And so it provides the P&C the opportunity to plan in advance if we allocate the money. So I'd be proposing that we actually reinstate items 1 and 2.
What about 8 then? That's an excursion.
I'd be certainly supporting item 8 on the same rationale for item 2, Mr Mayor. Allows them to plan ahead for it.
Paul's out. Councillor Mullins, you'll have to probably leave.
I did accept the resolution from people with procedural. So that is good, new and good information to me. It seems to me that irrespective of whether you like the idea or not, they will happen one day. And if we cost that fund $5,000 because we said all kids can't get out of the house this year, then I don't know how I will sell that to my constituents.
All right. Councillor Weaver, are you willing to
Well, I just think,
go back to the original motion of those 1, 2 and 8 in? The excursions?
yes, but I'm happy to do that. But I think information like this should be brought forward before these items are brought up. You
It actually
know,
was. Actually,
I didn't read it anyway. Did I?
No,
Did I miss it?
I admitted it wasn't done in writing, it was actually verbal.
Not good enough. Verbals don't count.
True.
Yeah, our general manager will speak to that.
Aware of the Dick Smith funding idea, but I wasn't aware that they would be able to still go for that funding given what's occurred with schools. And I would have thought that the Dick Smith Foundation. So we were cautionary. We're expended on the vote, and the reality is that there is another round in June when hopefully normal services resume as soon as possible. So it was certainly not supporting any of the actual notion of what was going on with that vote, but it is over-expended, the CAP fund. There are other items to consider, and the reality was it's not going to be spent optimistically, even if schools resume, whether they're going to have time in their curriculum to take excursions in this this calendar year was very unlikely. But it's certainly not an indication that staff were feeling that they weren't worthwhile, but it was a case of we made a judgment call on that belief. But if the information, as Councillor Batten's relayed, that the Dick Smith Foundation was to go, would still be funding that position in right now, it's up to council. We can go with whatever council votes.
I have further information, only as got a phone call this morning. Those negotiations are in fact actually taking place today between the president of the Mile Rotary Club and the appropriate organisation that administers the funding from Dick Smith. So I would strongly urge the council to reinstate number 1.
Yeah, right. Any further discussion on that? Well, Councillor Weaver, you willing to reinstate 1, 2 and 8?
Can I make a
Who
comment?
was the second there? Councillor Mullins, were you the second on that?
Can I also make a comment
Yeah, hang on.
before we do that?
Yeah, all right.
The Canandra St Edward's Catholic School P&F Association, I note that the reason that was refused was due to the fact that it was considered to be on a government sort of entity. However, in 2017, Council gave a CAP program grant of $5,000 to the school for other, other sort of reasons. And I'm just wondering what's changed since 2017 to 2020 to say that they're now ineligible when they were eligible previously.
Only, can you address that? You might come forward to a speaker.
Yeah.
So the previously approved CAP funding was for a shade shelter, which at the time by the council was considered to be something that was not strictly a fixed asset, so it was approved. In looking at this application, it is ground fixed infrastructure. So to the guidelines as they are, it is a bit of a different thing, but again, the decision always rests with council.
That's right.
I believe I'm a member, I'm not on the executive or any position there, so.
That's right.
I've just got a question, Mr Mayor. The ones here from Cumnock, Manilda and Molong, the 3, 12, 13 and 14, how sure are we are they going to be, they're nominated for funding, how sure are we going to be that they're going to get that funding?
Through you, Mr Mayor. So the drought funding program that has been put to the state government and the federal government, so those projects are included in that process. So they're in against that. The VEP 14, we've got to work through what next year's budget looks like. We are in a serious situation here, and we've got to work out what our budget's going to be about. And it could be somewhat austere, so we may not be putting council funds against projects pending not knowing what we can deliver. So either way, that will go into a future works program if that was to be put out of the VEP, because, and that's a discussion we should have at some stage. But yes, obviously that drought funding, we're going to be trying to push that through. And if we can't push it through because of something holistically problematic for councils for COVID-19, I would be surprised if we weren't given provisions to extend that time out. But we can't underestimate the operational impacts that are going to hit us in the not too distant future. And so it wouldn't be responsible to sort of indicate that, yeah, that's going to be delivered by the end of the calendar year. But I'm sure that the drought communities funding won't be pulled unless the federal government chooses to do so, which I think would be unlikely.
Can I make another comment then in relation to St Edward's School? Is it possible then that we could refer this to the Canowindra Town Improvement Fund for consideration?
Through Mr Mayor, we could consider it if you want to do it as in next year's budget. Again, it would be something that would be a little bit unusual to do, but we could have a look at whether the Canowindra councillors feel it was worthwhile. But as we know, it was also one of the town improvement fund's old provisions was it had to be spent on a council asset.
I think we're sort of learning that we are changing those terms and conditions as we move through with some of the other amounts of funding that we've given out. So I think that I'd like to see it referred to that committee with a view to us discussing it at some future stage.
That certainly, Councillor, we can do that. You'd be aware that the reason the Council is reasonably reluctant is because if we start funding state schools for their infrastructure, again, where do we stop?
Yes, I know, and I appreciate
but
that.
I understand it is the PNF and it is a passion of theirs, but that's the reason.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other discussion on that at all? Well, we'll get to that. All right, no further discussion. So, we've got the original motion being those are out. I've taken now, with leave of the move and the second, to amend it back to 1, 2 and 8 in, with 16 in as well. So that's the motion. 1, 2 and 8, so back in, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 16. Yeah, 1 through 11 and 16. Yeah. Yeah.
This could be something like, for example, where PNC soils put in the rainwater account. It stops them from actually contributing to that rainwater. By way of example, if we were going to improve that, I'm sure. I'm not happy with that. What can I choose council out of that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it is under the actual CAP funding. Like so, that's the policy. There still could be under a donation situation that we could potentially, in extingent circumstances, do that. Not too dissimilar to other donations we've made. So, but it is about the actual community assistance fund. So, but you're right. It does lock councils into future, but equally, it's a policy that a future council can change. So, it's one of those things. But the reason is because the Community Assistance Fund is generally to help the community out with their initiatives, not prop up other government entities from doing what they're responsible to do with their infrastructure. So I certainly understand the difficulty, but that one way or the other, there's a precedent there that's going to live through with the council potentially.
I think in some of these cases, though, it's the PNF or the PNC who are actually doing all the fundraising and putting their hand out for assistance. It's not coming from the school, and it's all for the betterment of the students who are attending those schools.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. I worked on PNFs and things like that, and that's what we did. We went out there and we made the money for our schools, and we had street stalls, we had whatever. But you can't get involved in schools. I've seen the Catholic school at Manildra and the public school. They seem to be doing pretty well. They seem to get a lot from the government these days to what we got. Now PNFs and PNCs don't seem to be doing anything too much. So, I think if they want something, they've got to work for it.
All right, so what's the thoughts on item 3 then? Well, authorise the amendment of guidelines to include projects involving. Is everybody happy with that? No, I'm just on the recommendation number 3. Yeah. So, all right, everybody's right then? Want me to put that now? Yep. No further discussion? Right. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. All right. Now moving on to close the ordinary meeting and sorry, we've got late items. Sorry, item 31.
I'll move that, Mr. Mayor, when everyone's up to it.
I'm not up to it yet either. Right, I'm on item 31. Is everybody with me? Everybody with me? Item 31, Canowra International Balloon Challenge. Have a move here. With it? Got us? Item 31. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Mullins, second by Councillor Batten. Yep. Any discussion on that at all? There is some late documents there that's just going to go around from our 28-day notification. So there has been a couple of things received.
So can I go ahead and talk?
Yep.
Yep. So the recommendation is that council provides funding of $60,000 to pay the creditors. I think also in this, isn't there another section which talks about funding of $30,000 to the challenge?
Yep.
Is that not part of this?
No.
This is only for the $60,000?
Yep.
Right, okay, thank you.
Or any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I don't know whether the proposer wants to comment first or not.
No, Mr. Chairman, I support the recommendation. We've rattled around this for some months now and been out on public exhibition, and I've noted all comments. I did originally hope that they might be able to borrow their own money and pay it back. That can't be the case. However, it is such a big event for Canowindra, even though it's not going ahead this year, that I haven't changed my stance. I fully support it.
Thank you. Speaker against it. Are we going to go that way? Any speaker against? No. Speaker for, Councillor Mullen?
Yeah, I strongly support Councillor Mullen's position, and also put to Council that I would be loath to see any of our businesses actually go to the wall in this, difficult time that we find ourselves in. This money, and I think it's totally appropriate, comes out of the Town Improvement Fund in this situation, because coming out of economic development funds would slow the access to that money down. Whereas we know that the money's available, we've got a resolution there, we've done a lot of consultation with the community, and whilst it's not unanimous support, I think majority support is to use that funding, and I would urge us to actually vote in favour of this motion and get that money out there as soon as possible.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I just ask a question, Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
I would just like to ask, does this cover all the creditors? Is that finished then?
Yep.
We've got a list of the creditors we needed to
Yes.
pay. Thank you.
No further questions or discussion? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Item 32 is the Community Facilitation Fund. Could I have a mover, please?
I'll move it.
Moved by Councillor Durkin, seconded by Councillor Newsom. Do you wish to speak to that, Councillor Durkin?
Not at this stage, Mr. Mayor. I just think it's a great idea for Yagowran to see us investing money and trying to assist the town to progress.
Anybody wish to speak against it? No? Yeah, all right. Speak for.
I just have one question about this. It seems to be that there's one group that have been asked across the board to actually put in, or to put these master plans together. Has there been any process where we've actually gone out to the market and got a quote to do these, rather than just taking, one group of people or one company?
Gentleman, you'll answer that. Yes.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not aware of whether they have or they haven't. That's why it's going through the Community Assistance Fund. It's the communities that are driving this. Council is contributing money, but they're making the decision on the procurement side of things. So they're not bound by our procurement policy under this fund. So my understanding is there may have been a leaning towards continuity of result. I'm not sure, but that's my understanding. Each committee that's requested assistance, some committees went forward without any council assistance, is my understanding, before I got here. But so as far as that goes, I suppose the only thing we could observe is that the costings are relatively consistent across those community groups. There's not been an escalation in costs by using a group, but that's my understanding, Councillor.
No further discussion on that. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Right, now we'll move from the ordinary into the closed section of the meeting. And could I have somebody adopt that move that somebody adopt all that we've discussed in that closed?
I'll move that, Mr. Mayor.
Moved by Councillor Durkin, seconded by Councillor Newsom. Thank you, councillors and staff. Meeting closed.
You said the email that's come through local government.